Okay, so are you ready to practice reading some words with our controlled vowels? The reason that we study these is that vowels that are R controlled are in words that can't really be sounded out. So we have to remember that when there's a vowel paired with an R, it makes a different sound. That R controls its sound, it means it makes it make a different sound. For instance, I have these cards here that I made. If we see this word, I'd like us to practice by spotting the vowel, thinking about the sound that the vowel makes, and then seeing if we can sound out the word and have it be a word that makes sense to us. So if we look at this word, we spot the vowel, which is A. I know in my head, A says ah. So if I were going to sound out this word, I would say s, ah, t, and then I would blend it together to make a word. Sat. Yeah, that's a real word. That's a word that we use. Now, if I were to look at this card, I'd spot my vowel. Now, just for the sake of demonstration, I just want to show what happens if we try to sound this out without thinking about the R-controlled rule. So I see my vowel is A again, and A says ah, so I have st, ah, star. Not a word. It's not a word that we would ever use. Now, of course, you're thinking, Mrs. Bowers, this is silly. I know looking at that word because I've seen it so many times, I know that word is star. So what we're going to do is when we look through the rest of these cards, we're just going to look and we're going to see, is the vowel by itself without an R? Or does the vowel have an R after it? And if it has an R after it, it's R controlled. So you have to remember those sounds. For instance, if we spot our vowel here, our vowel is E. E says like an edge. So if I sound out this word, pet, pet, all right, not R controlled. I can sound that out easily. Here, I'm going to spot my vowel. I just gave it away by putting my two fingers up, right? So there's the R after the E. So I know ER says so I can sound out this word using that rule. Her. Spot my vowel. I says like an itch. My word is rib. Rib. Not R controlled. However, I spot my vowel here. It has an R following it. I know it's going to be that R controlled I sound, which is b, d. Bird. O says ah, like an octopus. Odd. Cod. I spot my O. It's partnered with an R, so I know the sound is or k. Fork. Here's my vowel. It's a U. I know U says ah like an umbrella. Ugh. Hug. And then finally, my U is partnered with an R here. It says earn. Burn is the word. Now, I have a couple other cards over here that I'm going to mix up with the cards that we just looked through. And we're going to go through, and practice spotting the vowels. Pardon me a second. Drop my cards. That happens to me at school sometimes too. Okay, one more shuffle because I don't want them all together. The shuffling seems to be my dropping problem. All right, so we saw this one before. Ah, so sound it out with me. Odd. Cod. We blend it. We find our two letters together. Or k. You'll notice too with my flashcards, If it was an R-controlled vowel, the way I made it was I color-coded it so that you could immediately spot those. That's something that if you're working on a passage for reading or maybe working on a worksheet and you have a highlighter or a pencil, you could go through before you even start working on the sheet or start reading the passage. And if you're working on R-controlled vowels, you could underline or highlight the words that have those R-controlled vowels in them. And then you could preview them by going through and reading them first before you even read the passage or work on the worksheet, just to make sure you know what those words are. It's a helpful tip. All right, here's my vowel, eh. Let's sound it out. Leg, leg. Eh, et, pet. Oh, we have her. Ass, at, sat. Are, st, are, star. I, b, it, bit. Verb, verb. Again. Heard, I, ib, rib. Bird, bird. Ark, car. Og, bog. So all we're doing is practicing spotting those sounds, saying them in pieces or segmenting them, and then blending them together to make a word. Ugh, hug. Or, fort, fort. Some of you may have built blanket forts while we've been off from school. Fur. Cut. Here we have again. Burn, burn. App, tap. Now for the last few cards, I did not change the color of the R blends, or no, I shouldn't call them R blends, the R controlled vowels. So what I want you to do is while you're watching the video, you could put up 2 fingers and pretend that you're pointing at the card that I have. I'm not going to point. And then you can say the sound and then try to segment and blend the word. I'll give you some think time and then I'll do it with you. Okay, so we have this word. Spot the vowel. Ask yourself, is it followed by an R? If it is, how many fingers should you have up pointing? 2, right? We should be pointing at the 2 letters that are going to work together to make one sound. Now go ahead and see if you can segment that word, sound it out, saying the sounds together, and then blend it. What you should do is say R, farm. Is that the word you got? I hope so. Okay, spot the vowel. Is it controlled by an R? Not this time. So here's the vowel. Think about the sound it makes. Go ahead and think through the rest of the sounds. Blend your word. Did you get bin? I hope you got bin. Try this one. So you should be using two fingers, right? Because we have a vowel followed by an R, so we know it's R controlled. The sound is The word is turn. And finally, find our vowel. Think about the sounds in the word and blend it together. And let's read it. Our word is hop. Thank you for sticking with me through this entire video. I hope that you will I hope that you'll use what we practiced to become a stronger reader. So you could make your own cards mixing up some vowels that are short with some vowels that are R controlled, and practicing that will help strengthen your reading because you'll recognize those R controlled vowels more quickly while you're reading, so your brain just recognizes them and you don't even have to think about sounding them out.